Hi everybody. I'm sorry I look so orange. Not sure why I look so orange. Well, probably because I'm wearing an orange shirt. There's an orange wall. Actually, that's Egyptian earth. And a yellow wall back there. But I thought I'd do this video because I've had a lot of people ask me to do like, Leon, will you read their body language and tell us what you think this is all about? And it's kind of tough for me because I don't look at things the way most people look at things. And the way I look at things, like I always talk about systems theory, and I talk about systems. And there's things that happen to systems when certain things come into the system, like an idea. So we have a thing that's now entered the system, even though it was here a year ago. And I actually watched M.K. Davis when he daily showed them for the first time, and I appreciated those videos. And I remember wondering about the theory he's producing, and it was an interesting theory. And I also noticed I emotionally reacted to it a bit. And I think my emotional reaction to it was, why would we do this? And the main one was, is this true? And when I talk to you guys about systems, I talk to you guys about what's called tribes and troops. And tribes are different people with different ideologies, different cultures, different dress. But we live close enough in proximity so we still discuss things throughout, or we try to keep connected at least a few times during the year. So we have potlucks and stuff like that to bring you over and to make sure that we can keep trade going and what else is going on, any concerns and stuff, and negotiate, navigate that. And the difference between that compared to a troop is when those two those tribes end up, one of the tribes ends up coming up with a belief system that makes their position feel like it's more validly true than you. And there's some pretty bad side effects of that. And one of the things that is a bad side effect is that we stop seeing people as people, and we see them as troops, either our troop or their troop. Think of the word troop. Troop is a military word used for troops. It's spelled a little differently, but you get the idea that I'm talking about. Warfare. So when I talk to you guys about systems, the idea about systems is that when an ideology comes into a system that goes against the grain. Now remember, an open system is it can have thoughts that come in to the system that might go against the grain, the belief system of whatever that system happens to be. There's two types of those things that can come in like that. One is kind of a positioning that I would take with you guys, which is I try to present factual evidence the way I see them. I think most people try to do it the same way. But when I look at this whole situation, I'm sorry for my little scatterbrain a little bit about this, but I know it's affected a lot of people, but I want you to look at it differently. So when people have asked me, Leon, would you go through these videos and let us know what you think about those guys and whether or not they're telling us the truth? You're not asking the right question, and nor are you perceiving what's going on. Sorry, I'm saying that to you that way, but that's what's happening here because I study systems, okay? And you wouldn't know that. Remember, I warned you about the bloody narrative on the screen. Watch out about the narrative you're hearing on this bloody screen. So I got so much in my brain about this that my brain's actually going to 5 different locations as I'm talking to you right now to figure out which one is more relevantly important. So I'm going to probably go on a lot of rabbit trails tonight, and I'm sorry, but, yeah. Anyways, I was going to say today, depending on when you're watching it, but, you know, when you deal with systems, what's important about systems is systems is about community. And a community is a place where everyone knows everybody. And we trust each other, and we're trying to help each other out to understand how to negotiate a thing called life, which is pretty tough to do. And so when something comes into the system, I don't care. You can put Bigfoot system. You can put family system. Your own personal name on the system. I don't care, whatever you do. But when something comes in the system that's called conflict, and conflict is stuff that usually makes people emotionally react to things that they don't know how to negotiate. And the problem is we are very binary thinking in Western culture. So it goes to this side or that side. Right, wrong, good, bad, liar, honest person. When you're looking at what's going on right now in regards to MK and Bob, so there's two questions that I came into my head, of course, when this all happened, is Bob telling me the truth about this story he says? And the next question I have, because I watched MK's videos at the very beginning when he first put them out, and I like MK, so I don't have no horse in this investment here, you know. So, and that's important, by the way, you guys. You can't look at data without understanding that if you bring your emotional investment, that means that's what that is subjective truth, meaning biased into the thing, because you're emotionally reacting to it. You can't see it objectively, which is out of yourself. Without that, reinforces those feelings and those emotions and those thoughts about what you think about this. So you can't be biased, or you can't be objective if you have that, because that's what biasness is. So we have to learn a way of doing it. So I'm going to help you with that a little bit on this video. And I am sorry if I'm kind of going on a few things, but I've thought about this from about 5 or 6 different angles at the exact same time, and that's one reason why I might be kind of going on these little rabbit trails, because unfortunately my brain works that way. When I look at the videos you guys have sent me, and the nice thing is you guys have sent me face-on pictures of these guys. That's right. I think I got bit by a mosquito, which is great, because winter is over, if that happened. Sorry about that, but you need levity. Anyways, so when I look at Bob and those films people have sent me of him, I totally buy that Bob is telling you the truth about the story. I don't think he has any deception. And the difference between me and a lot of people who sent me the request to look at over the videos is they're on the idea is, are they lying or they're not lying? Body language doesn't tell you whether somebody is lying or not lying. Time tells you whether somebody is lying or not lying. Body language is about whether the person owns what they're saying out of their mouth internally, and believability in their neural net pathway. Okay, that's kind of the best clinical way that I could kind of say it. That's not too clinical. And so the idea about when I'm looking at body language, I'm not looking at it to see who's lying or telling the truth. It's not about that, man. We have all screwed up in our lives. And I don't think there's a single bloody person viewing me that can say, you cannot tell me you have not lied or went in to tell a lie because someone asked you a question that you felt embarrassed about. And so you lied instead of about feeling that contempt you have towards yourself. Don't tell me you've never done that. So this is not about trying to find that kind of person. What we're trying to find is what's going on. That's what body language can help you with in a situation like this. So when I watch Bob's videos, I buy everything Bob's saying as being exactly the way he says that. There's probably some kind of overcompensation to help out with the story a bit when I look at him. And the videos that are on, and again, it's helpful because it's straight on, so I can see his micro expressions, his eye movements, and what he's doing with all that kind of stuff. I totally buy that stuff. Okay. And I just want to back up a little bit too. When people came forward to me, and I really love and respect these people, okay? I actually really love and respect a lot of people, but I know these people are good-hearted people, so I'm not here to I don't even want to say that because it's just not true. They're just really great people. And when they were asking me to kind of look at this stuff, I remember asking them, are you sure you want to hear what my answer is going to be to this? Because it's not what most people are thinking online is going to be. And they were honorable enough to say yes. And I really appreciate that. Trust me, because the garbage that's, I mean, just what we deal with in general life is pretty tough stuff. You guys, come on, be honest about it. And it was nice to hear that. So this is my assessment of what's going on right now. I don't think N.K. Davis is a liar. I don't think he's a hoaxer. I don't think he's a deceiver. I don't believe he's trying to do that. I think what N.K. Davis says, and if you look at his past history, you will see that what he does is he looks at things and he does what we do, what we're supposed to be doing in the bush, which is go out to the bush to investigate whether Sasquatch is in an area, use a hypothesis by connecting the dots to help us negotiate how to find them. That's what we normally would be doing if we're researching. I think. I don't know. Okay. So MK has, remember, this is a theory. Now MK believes it to be true, but any of us who have theories believe it to be true. So cut some slack on this one. Okay. MK has a concept and idea that what he believes to be true is factually accurate. I think MK, because he's got a good heart from what I've met of him, and I don't know him that well. I'm not saying, you know, we have daily coffee or anything like that, but I only know of how I can see him online, and I've watched him for a while. And some of the interaction online kind of stuff, but it's minimal, you know. But I can usually sense, and you guys usually can too, if you met the person personally, physically, you're going to have a whole bunch more emotional information that you really need instead of listening to the narrative that's on here. But I like MK. That's what I'm saying. I like what he does. So I don't believe MK is actually trying to be deceitful, lying, or anything like that. But MK is very tries to be very systematic in his thinking. If you look through all of his videos, you will see that pattern line of a system of a man who, when he is processing stuff, is very systematic. And the systematic approach is a good, healthy way of doing it. And what this systematic approach is, you have a hypothesis, so you start negotiating that hypothesis, and then you start putting these dots on your mind of what you believe the hypothesis is. And if there seems valid evidence, and I've been wrong on this kind of stuff, but if it seems like valid evidence at the time, you continue with that. So you start connecting these dots, and they start, I call them building blocks almost. And you're also building a neural net pathway, remember, when this is happening. So by the time you're invested in it, you feel pretty solid about it. And trust me, I have been there. That's the gullible white guy looking for Sasquatch video. I mean, I thought I might as well just show you guys how stupid he feels like. So you'll relax a bit. We're talking about a community here. Why do we have a community? Because we need each other as resources, because there's a lot more of us if you can work together to maybe track these things down in film. I don't like using the word tracking, but figure out where they're hanging so we can film them. Yeah, let's try that, you know. Anyway, so the idea that when I'm looking at this system is different than the way most of you guys are looking at it, which is, again, your tribalism turns to troopism as soon as you try to pick sides. Now, I know you want to support the other person. You should do that. Or you might want to support this person. You should do that. But the bottom line is you don't change it into we're better than you. You're not the same as us. We make mistakes on both sides. Okay, on this side, we make mistakes on this side. On this side, we make mistakes on this side as well. Oh, glorious. That'd be fantastic. So what we're kind of learning is a different way. And this is, you know, it sucks, but it's kind of great. It's how you learn things, is usually through things that suck. So What I actually think is going on, MK is totally telling the truth, or MK believes he's telling the truth from the data because he's data collecting. This is not, the truth isn't about his character. And I think that's where people are getting confused. His character is actually trying to be as truthful and factual as he possibly can. And he's connecting these dots that seem to be true, and he's got connections and conversations he's had in his past where he draws from those resources in this 5.5 pounds of jelly of the brain that we have in our head. But the problem with it is we have to learn how to correctly vet it. And I am guilty of this. So if MK sees this and he's upset by it, MK, I am as guilty as this as possible, man. I've poured in a lot of investment, time, and concepts and ideas and stuff, and I was wrong. I'm going to say it the way it was. I was fucking wrong. But that's okay. I don't have a problem with your hypothesis or your idea and stuff like that, but we need more vetting information because I get it. You knew this when you threw this out here, that it was going to cause some problems. I don't think at all you're sitting there trying to think that you're trying to cause problems. You don't want to cause problems. You just don't know whether or not the data is correct. And I think you people in the Bigfoot community online, you got to step back a bit. There's always a bigger picture. I don't expect people not to lie to me in my profession. I expect them to lie to me. And who do I deal with? The general public. Am I conspiracy-oriented thinking? No. I know that they're going to lie to me at one point in their experience or relationship with me because they lie to themselves all the time. I lie to myself all the time, and you have lied to yourself all the time. And if you deny that, then you're definitely either a sociopath or a psychopath. So just reflect on it a bit before you think you know the answer to that question, okay? So it's not about MK being a liar and deceptor and out to hurt anybody. It's about whether or not he's coming in from a different psychological approach, which he is. He's data collecting. In this data collecting, he's formulating a hypothesis of what he believes all this means. Remember, it's not just him looking at videos. He's got other stuff in that. And the other side about Bob, Bob's totally telling you the truth. There's no deception at all on Bob, in regards that I can see. Maybe, hey, if there's any other body language people out there, especially if you're working for experts and stuff, let me know. Contact me. I would love you to do that. Because get them to look at the stuff and you'll see he's not lying. He's not deceptively trying to formulate in his mind a story in his head. So I'm stuck with two guys that one guy's telling the truth and one guy is not lying, and he's not a liar and a deceptor. Because that's not what I see in his body language. I do see a guy who's usually pretty sincere and pretty solid in his research. That's why we follow him. But I also see that he's connected dots about an event that he believes to be true, and he's got a lot of reinforcers in that. And don't tell me you never had that in your own exploring of research, because you have. If you're researching out there watching me right now. So there's a bigger picture afoot. Now I know there's another character involved in this whole thing that we're dealing with right now. I like Steve. I promote Steve. I used to promote Steve at the very beginning. But I'm a factual actual kind of guy. So I like to have some kind of context for the information that anyone shares about things, because it doesn't help me try to find one. I'm not here to be popular. You guys know that if you watch my channel. I have like 600 people as subscribers. I love every single one of them. But I'd rather deal with 600 people that are trying to figure it out in a different way than having 250,000 that are, unless I have an entertainment channel or informational channel, and always people sharing their stories about Sasquatch. That's a different thing, but I like to be in the educational channel, so it's kind of helpful about the whole thing. So I just want to end you with this: much patience, much grace, and much gentleness. A different perception of how you might be viewing this. First of all, if you're emotionally noticing you're really reacting to it, that is not going to help with this situation at all. We're not looking for good people and bad people in regards to Bob and in regards to MK. We're not looking for that. We're not looking for people trying to be deceptive. What we're looking for is what's going on. I buy everything that Bob tells me, and I deal with people all the time, and I use body language quite often to help me see what's actually being said. I don't find any deception in Bob. I'm online. Yep, it's a big risk. You might pull me back on this one, and you might. Maybe I'm missing something. But at this time, he's no showing. He's Bob. That's what you're looking at. That's Bob. I know when people are acting. He's not acting. That's Bob. And he's older. And this is all new stuff for an 80-year-old guy. Over 80-year-old. Cuts some slack. Okay, and I know MK. MK's always been very systematic at what he does. Watch his previous videos. You'll see that. So is it possible maybe there's something else going on besides him being the evil devil that people are doing because they're reacting to what he's saying? He has a hypothesis about an idea, and he's wondering about whether or not it's solidly factual. He believes it to be true, but he doesn't know the solidness of it, and that's the thing of research. We believe it to be true, we feel it's really close to be true, but until we see a Sasquatch or get evidence of seeing a Sasquatch and leaving a dump somewhere, or leaving hair samples somewhere, or leaving something there where we get to grab it and hold it and tactilely have it in our hands, then it becomes reality. So cut MK some slack too, and try to see a different way. There's another part to this that I'll probably talk about later on. So anyways, there's a bigger thing we can learn from this whole thing, and that is this is all about the search for what's true. Now, depending on our years of being in the bush and our experience in the bush, it's about the truth. The truth about, is Sasquatch real? So whatever level of capacity we have had, and I include myself in the lower deck on this one, just to let you know. If we're that low on our own research capacities, capabilities, critical thinkings, systematic approaches on things, and not just say it, understand what those terms actually mean and how to do those actual things, then we can up our game. So this is an opportunity actually to up our game. So don't look at it as a crisis. Truth always lands on the right laps. People who don't want to hear the truth, why talk to a fool? You'll end up looking like a fool yourself. They have already bought what they want to buy. They're not ready yet for a shift. That's okay. A lot of us aren't ready for a shift. It takes us time to move through different types of shifts. So that's okay for them to do that. But stay focused on what we're here to do. I just want to see a Sasquatch. Why? Because I'll sculpt it. When I sculpt it, you'll see the emotional, your body will actually see the emotional reaction I saw, and you'll go, holy shit. That's why I'm online. This other stuff, again, systems, critical thinking, skepticism, objective thinking is down here. You're not emotionally invested in it. Let's look at it that way. That's subjectively from the inside out. We're reactionary. It's going to blind us. Love is blind, so we put our dysfunctional blind glasses on. We go, oh, he looks really good. I should go see him. There's something very familiar with him. Yeah, because his dad was an alcoholic, and your dad was an alcoholic, and there's something familiar. So the emotional rhythm you're feeling about the whole thing is that. Be cautious of the narrative online. It'll hijack you almost every time, especially if you have a personal investment in it. We're looking for objective, the capacity to discipline yourself, to be objective. It's hard to be objective when you're hearing stuff that's going on. Look, the wave is shifting, and we will figure it out. And it will help MK, if we have to bow the knee if we're wrong, and if MK's right, we have to bow the knee, he has to bow the knee to us. That's what we have to do if presented with correct data. But the data gets to be vetted, and that's why community is important. Not with meandering slander. It's not going to help. And that means that you start taking positions. You guys actually, I want to warn you, I talked to you about this before, your brain's already programming you to do that. You're not aware that you're doing that. Because as soon as you start going into, I'm on so-and-so sides or so-and-so sides, you just told your brain, look for data to collect to validate I should be on this side. And that's what it starts doing. And And we don't want to get stuck on either this way doing that or this way doing that. That's when you're personally invested in something. We want to stay neutral on the whole process. We want to look at what's going on. We're trying to figure out what's going on, not who's a liar or not. We will get that information. If somebody's lying, we'll get that information down the road. We're looking for the bigger picture, what's going on. So relax a bit. Trust yourselves, trust the community. But there's something we could learn more, which is really about how we need to up our game also in the bush stuff. Because if we had those tactics really focused there, those talents, and it takes practice doing that stuff, we would see this totally different instead of reactionary towards. We start seeing it above up here instead of being stuck down here with it. I hope this helps. I know it helps me because I just had to share this. It's been bothering me, or not bothering me, but I'm just trying to negotiate it a bit. I like Bob. I think Bob's honest. I like MK. I don't think MK's trying to be deceptive unless a liar. I do think he has a hypothesis that he believes and is concerned it could be true. And that's why he's sharing what he's sharing. He's not sharing this because he's trying to be vindictive. And so do with that both those sides. Remember, I like Bob. I don't think any of these guys are bad guys. I think they're both coming from, well, Bob's just sharing his story exponentially. That's another way of looking at it. In other words, he was at an event that he's saying or claiming that he was there at. And that's what I see when he shares his story. He was actually there at the event through his body language, his eyes, and his breathing, and his other stuff. When I look at MK, MK's not a guy who was at an event trying to articulate things. MK's is an investigator who's looking from the outside, trying to look at data and connect the data so it comes with some kind of context to it. And he believes it to be true. And that's what we all do with any kind of context. Now, what we don't know is, that's why vetting is important. Is it solid? I don't know if it's solid. I don't know if MK knows it's solid, but I know he believes it's true. And I can't hold anything against that because I've done exactly the same process and done exactly the same thing. I believed it to be true, but I was wrong. Gullible white guy looking for Sasquatch. I was wrong, but boy, I knew I was right. Anyways, think about this whole thing. Actually stop thinking about it. Reflect on it a bit. And there's a bigger picture at foot is we're trying to find a Sasquatch. We're not trying to get into politics. Dividedness from tribes where we can communicate and talk and hash strange, bizarre ideas, whether we agree with them or not, to troopism where we can't hear anybody because you're part of the other party, the conspiracy party. And both sides, by the way, think it's a conspiracy party. Psychologically, both sides are justifying their behavior. So remember, it's usually in the middle. Usually that's kind of correct. Focus on what we're here to do. The other thing will take care of itself. Trust me. There's lots of people who try to con the Bigfoot community. As time moved forward, everything ended up being revealed. So cut yourself some slack. Give yourself some time. Watch as an observer how this unfolds and work it that way. That's the same way you do your data in the field as an observer. So it can teach you some great things. I know it sucks, but it can teach you some great things. Okay, have a great week, you guys. Those are my thoughts on it for right now. And don't overwaste your time on this.